Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Yep, that's right, World of Tanks. Yes, I know. I don't normally feature wargaming videos on Wednesdays, but this week I've been really busy and I just haven't had time to record anything else. So this one has been pulled out of the spares drawer. So don't worry, it's still pretty good for a number of reasons. This is Darfel in the Italian Tier 7 medium tank, the P43. This is a regular tech tree tank, it's not the latest flavour of the month overpowered premium, and I don't think anybody in their right mind would accuse the P43 of being overpowered anyway. It's alright, but you do have to be good to get the most out of it. It has its upsides, it has its downsides. The gun has great alpha damage, you'll do over 300 damage on a hit with this thing. It's just that hitting is not guaranteed because it has 0.4 accuracy. It's pretty bad. And you're going to see plenty of examples of where the hell did that shot go in this battle. Some of them Darfel's fault, most of them not. As you can see, the mobility is pretty good, allowing you to get down and across this open ground and into cover before it's too late at the start of a match. And with the top engine, it has a very good power to weight ratio. Oh dear, that was not the place that the T50-2 wanted to stop. Come on, fellas, can't afford to let him get away with that. And are we going to get him? We got him. Took a hit in return, but, well, 57mm gun, not a lot of damage. Now's probably a good time to talk about the P43's armour, or severe lack of it. With careful angling, or a bit of luck, you can make the armour work if you're getting shot at by lower tier tanks. In all other respects, this armour is only really good enough to protect you from high explosive shells, and not a lot else. The upgraded turret is 100mm, and it is kind of nicely sloped and angled, but 100mm is no guarantee of protection when you're at tier 7. Even if you're top tier, there are plenty of guns around at this kind of level, particularly the tank destroyers, that will have no problems penetrating 100mm of turret armour, and if you do not keep the hull angled, absolutely everything is going to penetrate you, with the possible exception of M10 RBFMs firing nothing but gold ammo. To be completely fair, the M10 is only tier 5, and without gold he does only have 130mm of penetration. I'm not judging him here, I'm just pointing out the facts. Ah yes, Jingles, I hear you cry. But Darfel himself has 13 rounds of gold ammo loaded. He does have it loaded, but guess what? He's still going to have 13 rounds of gold ammo loaded at the end of the battle. He shouldn't, and doesn't, need gold to be shooting at the tier 5s and 6s on the enemy team in this battle. Now, he shouldn't even need gold with 165mm of armour-piercing pen to shoot at the tier 7s on the enemy team in this battle. And that's why he's not going to, because he hasn't quite exhausted his imagination just yet. You'll note that he's compensating, and this does work better when you're top tier than if you were in a tier 8 or tier 9 game, but he's compensating for his terrible armour by keeping the tank moving. Darfel's 90mm gun does have terrible accuracy, 0.4 dispersion, but remember the tier 5, 6s and a lot of the tier 7s that he's fighting in this battle don't have great accuracy either. So keeping the tank moving when he suspects anybody is aiming at him is his best defence. And by the way, did you see what he did there? Crested the ridge to see whether or not he got spotted before he committed to charging over the lake here. And he did not get spotted, so he knew that there was an excellent chance that providing he kept the pedal to the metal, he'd be able to make it across this frozen lake without too much in the way of damage. Check before you commit yourself. And yes, he did get spotted, but it was only when he was halfway across the frozen lake, not when he first crested the ridge, because he checked whether or not he'd been spotted when he first crested the ridge, and as a result, yes, he did take a hit from the M10 RPFM over there, but it was only one hit. He got spotted so late, only that guy had a chance to react. Unfortunately for Darfel, his reaction was to sit in the same spot without moving and continue to fire the gold, mostly ineffectually. Now, they'll tell you that one of the good things about the P43 here is its good, well, decent, well, alright gun depression. And yeah, it is alright, but that's the best you can say about it. 7 degrees. There are Chinese tanks that get 7 degrees of gun depression. For those of you who don't play World of Tanks, Chinese tanks are legendary for having terrible gun depression. So 7 degrees is right on the borderline of what I would consider acceptable. And that kind of gun depression makes it very tricky navigating ridges like this without exposing uncomfortable amounts of tank, particularly here. This is the classic place where you're going to get shot. It's going to blow your tracks off and immobilise you and do damage. And then, unless you have a repair kit handy, you're just going to sit there getting shot over and over and over until you're dead. If you're in a tank with good gun depression, a British or American medium for example, it's relatively easy to work ridges like this and get the gun over and firing down at enemies on the other side without exposing that spot. If you're not in a tank with good gun depression, Chinese, Russian mediums, or the P-43 here, it can be real tricky working ridgelines like this in order to avoid this happening to you. Oh yeah, speaking of this thing's terrible accuracy, you might be thinking, well, I haven't seen anything too bad yet. How about that shot against the Stug? Where the hell did that shot go? Yeah, 0.4 accuracy is... it's not good. I think it was in last week's video I was talking about the questionable 0.35 accuracy on the Type 59. Now 0.35 accuracy isn't bad, like I said last week, it's on the borderline of what I'd consider decent accuracy. Well, this one's never going to hit, of course, he's firing in the loop, and yeah, I didn't even see where that one went. But I just keep imagining Type 59s and other tanks with 0.35 accuracy complaining about how their shots are unreliable. P-43 is like, oh, hark at the armourer's pet. 0.35 accuracy. Watch this. Here's another one. What the hell happened there? P-43's lying awake at night dreaming of having 0.35 accuracy. Oh, by the way, something that I actually neglected to point out earlier on. Right at the start of the battle, the enemy Tiger P, the top tier heavy tank, drowned himself. And on this map, that takes a special level of dedication because almost all of the water on this map is frozen. However, not to be outdone, perhaps he just felt he was being a good sport, the Tiger on Darful's team, also a top tier heavy, drowned himself too. It's nice to know that everyone is such good sports on this server, isn't it? Right, well, only 2 tanks remaining. I'll tell you something else that I noticed here, and it's not often that you see it, is the communication going on between the surviving members of Darful's team. And I'm not saying it's not often that you see it because people are just bad players on the EU server, they're certainly no worse than anywhere else. But effective communication is more rare, I think, on the EU server, certainly much more so than on the North American server, because everybody speaks different languages on the EU server, and sure, a lot of people speak good English, but not everybody does. But I don't think it's a coincidence that the ones who are left alive are the ones who are communicating well. Because a lot of people don't even take the time to look at the minimap, let alone chat. Of course, not everyone's using their chat powers for good. The friendly M10 RBFM sitting in the cap circle is being a little bit of a dick. But he is sitting in the cap circle, and at Darful's request, so it's not a complete waste of communication. This is definitely not a case of no cap, kill all. I mean, if you want to flush out the last 2 enemy tanks, sit somebody in the cap circle. And then even if the tanks chasing the last kills die, you still win because somebody's sitting in the cap circle. Because when you're going for glory, and Darful definitely is, nobody's shooting at the tanks in the cap circle. And everybody, if it all works out, can get what they want. The SU-100 just went to the great scrapyard in the sky, the T-34-85M over there who killed him, obviously expecting Darful to be chasing him around the other way, but Darful, seen a couple of westerns, he understands the value of heading the Indians off at the pass, and he's lying in wait. T-34-85M is resetting the cap, but he keeps hitting the wrong tank. He's obviously trying to kill him, because he's shooting the same target over and over rather than spreading the resets around and, you know, actually trying to win. And that is exactly what Darful was hoping for. He gets the last kill, and the guys in the cap circle, well, one of them at least, get their capture points. So it's a win for everyone. Except for the tanks on the enemy team. You know, obviously. So, that was Darful in the Tier 7 Italian P-43, getting an extremely well-deserved ace tanker and Radley Walters to go with the Top Gun, high caliber, and... is that a steel wall? In this tank? Yes, Jingles. Yes, it is. How? Well, careful angling. A lot of those shots went into his tracks because he kept the tank angled and he kept it moving, which means that even if somebody was aiming at a weak spot, with the questionable accuracy that you get down here at the mid-tiers, if he's moving, there's little chance they're actually going to hit it. Even though, to be fair, weak spots, as far as this tank are concerned, basically means all of the hull. But hey, that's what the tracks are for. So yes, a steel wall to go with the Top Gun, Ace Tanker, High Caliber, and Bradley Walters. And he did it all without firing a single round of gold ammo, because he's top tier, so he didn't bloody well need to. Although the fact that he's not a tier 7 premium is reflected in the profits that he earned at the end of this battle. Despite not firing any gold, he actually earned less than 30,000 credits, and that with a premium account, so I think there's a lesson to be learned there. I'm just not quite sure what it is. Nonetheless, congratulations to Darfel, and everyone else. I hope you enjoyed watching him perform. That's all I have time for today, and as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.